Saints Row recently got added into the PlayStation monthly game section, and anybody who has PlayStation Plus can get it. Now, Saints Row on release was probably the most surprisingly disappointing game that I can remember as of recent events. So much so that the developers have been forced to shut down their operations because the parent company no longer sees them as needed, which is hilarious to me because this is basically them saying, you guys suck and haven't made a good game in years, have fun finding a new job. Also, the irony of this is amazing since you get to put faces to the newly jobless people when watching this game's credit scene if you even make it there after all the bugs.
What the dog doing?
Saints Row's Platinum Trophy consists of 51 trophies and an infinite number of glitches and bugs scattered within, which truly make it a legendary experience.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
The game opens up with a super awkward scene with a businessman exiting a limo in front of the Saints home base, which you build later on. Also, there's like zero music and it's just super weird, which becomes a theme throughout this game, so much so that it kind of becomes funny because of how awkward the game is. Anyways, after blundering through the party in what was supposed to be a cool intro, I guess, you get to make a character. I chose to be this girl because of her outstanding personality.
Stop the cap.
I also made her look extremely sweaty at all times to onset fear into my enemies, since now they know I have been trying super hard at what I do. And I added a purple mustache to hide my true identity like Superman does with his glasses. This strategy didn't work, however, because my character immediately gets killed and thrown into a grave. Honestly, what a start. I always love knowing what's going to happen at the end of a game. It really makes the anticipation so much better. Just kidding, I hate that. They do let us know that the game is set a few months earlier though, just to avoid any confusion that is already prevalent. FYI, we are only 4 minutes into this game. We see the character we play as again, and the origin story for us is that we worked for a private military company called Marshall, and act as an agent for them for most of this game's intro. The first mission is actually our first mission as a Marshall agent, and our entire team gets killed instantly. What a great welcome into the real world. This must be what my parents keep talking about and warning me for. This mission's purpose is to just introduce you into the game's combat like most games usually do right away. At one point, I even end up on a tank turret, and I gotta say, even though my character is a girl, my balls were still shaking and trembling like a little boy. The actual objective on this mission is to capture Mr. Nawali, who is actually the final boss of this game's main story, and we get to see him yet again right away. I really love how this game isn't giving us anything to look forward to. Feels so much like real life half the time. Oh yeah, and the game installed fully. I really appreciate it letting me know as I'm already playing it.
Retard or what?
Mr. Nawali gets away from us using his dollar store magic tricks and somehow ended up atop this giant jet just floating above us and hijacked it. This man should just get to go free with this amount of effort he's giving us right now. Like, you gotta give it to the man. He's trying for sure. However, since I'm the main character, I also climbed atop the big old ship and even made it not be a working ship anymore, and it crashed after I abused it, much like your father abuses you. As I was being choked out in a non-consensual way, all the homies who didn't die show up and save us, completing the first mission and trophy. After this, there was some more introduction to the game, which basically just shows you all the side characters who will be constantly annoying us for the next 50 hours of our life. I did get a trophy, however, for opening the Style app on the phone, and Lord have mercy was my drip just down bad. I looked like a soccer mom who somehow fell off after she already fell off after high school. Or I just looked like your mother. I mean, you know. Saints Row, for God knows what reason, added in wingsuits to your character, and I'm not sure why they did this, but it's kind of funny since it's just so random. I flew in with one of them on and strolled upon my first side quest thing, which I got a trophy for just talking to her. I contributed nothing to the relationship, but somehow got a reward. I don't make the rules. I also at some point bought a full body Halloween costume because it just looked so cool. And it really, you know, showed off my amazing personality. I wish I had a woman in my life who had such a great personality also. That would totally make my day better every second of it. So anyway. Will Smith's husband actually grew out her hair a tad bit and gave us a new mission to do. We get to hijack a transport or something. I forgot what the devs called it, but they're out of business now, so it doesn't really matter. After jerking around for quite a while, we make our way up next to the truck and jump our little sweaty ass on there and begin to really insert it where it belongs. You sort of do this game of cat and mouse for a while until you reach the front of the truck transport and get a cutscene when you're trying to take over control of it. You and Daddy have a little tussle, and then it just crashes, and there's somehow a ton of people just surrounding you, and it's kind of like a boss fight section, if you will, except it's super easy, and the dude dies from getting crushed after we threw a pebble at the hanging truck. Now that is a crazy headstone he's gonna get. Death by falling semi-truck caused by pebble thrown by sweaty girl with purple mustache, who is probably questioning her sexuality. You get rewarded greatly by the higher-ups of Marshall and even see the dude from the very beginning of the game where we died. I wonder if it's foreshadowing something. A few moments later, I was dragging a shipping container around the road and brutally murdered so many citizens that I got a trophy for my crimes. I wish it worked like that in the real world, but we can't have everything in life now, can we? On another mission, we act as head of security protecting this codex thing, which is like this piece of art in history Mr. Marshall likes to masturbate to. So it's really important is what I'm trying to say. On our first day on the job, we sadly get a car sent through the wall and completely overrun. So we failed. And even though we saved the codex for now, we still got yelled at, which was super mean if I'm being honest. Also, shout out to the random dude who tried to join my lobby and made me physically select no each time. Thank you, bro. We got a trophy for doing such a good bad job. And wake up the next day looking like an absolute bum. Really not a good look. Even my good personality couldn't save me right now from the ugliness.
That's what I'm saying.
Main character Booby Lady and the other 3 side characters decide they've had enough of the gang wars going on, and we want to make our own to have some more freedom. This is the land of the free after all. I still don't know what a kilometer is. The Saints are founded by us 4, if you couldn't tell, and we get a mission where we try to steal that church from the very beginning of the game. It is currently owned and about to be destroyed by the construction company, so instead we destroy all of their porta potties so they can't use the bathroom. A truly devastating business tactic. Oh, and we also kidnapped the guy who owns it and sort of tortured him. That also did help now that I think of it. But all we did was drive like the most normal woman on the road and he pissed himself. So I'm starting to think he was just a giant pussy in all honesty. We quite literally just got the church auto ourselves, and the idols, which is just a gang in the game, show up to fight us for it. I'm starting to think they have a crush on me because they constantly are stalking my every move. Anyways, after sending them all to the grave early, we won the church for good. And got a trophy, finally. Since we just started our new gang called the Saints, this part of the game now consists of a lot of setup missions for stuff to do after the main story is over. Or before if you're a virgin. The first one is to get in business with this garage owner dude so we can have cooler cars. He didn't actually make us do a lot of car things, instead I just kill people again, which is starting to make me feel like a murderer if I'm being honest. But he gave us a trophy for it, so it's okay. The next thing we had to do was set up our first business venture, which consists of just another way to make money in the game. The first business is a toxic waste disposal for rich companies who want a better carbon fiber footprint. Elon, take notes because this is how it's really done. I had to drive this truck full of toxic waste back to the business without spilling any. And as you can see, I was unaware of how fragile it meant when it said be fragile. In fact, this truck broke down as fast as my ex-girlfriend did when I broke up with her. I have that effect on women. On my 3rd or 4th try, I finally did it, and it was in fact a perfect run if I do say so myself. You had to do that same thing multiple times to set up the venture fully, but once you do, you get a trophy for it. I ended up taking a break from the stories and side quest missions for a while and tried to grind out some challenges. This is basically just another collectible in the game, and this was a super bad idea since I was unaware half of them I couldn't even do yet. And in all honesty, this is the hardest part of the game's platinum, which would make sense because they are called challenges, and that is what they are. Thankfully, there wasn't any that involved having a long-lasting, healthy relationship, since I would also fail that one. But as I've always said, the platinum trophies must come first. Jim Rob is the most American name ever, and he is also the dude who I mentioned earlier that has the garage for us to store cars in. And if you go to him and touch your car with lots of money, he will eventually give you a trophy after making you go bankrupt, much like the Volition developers. I was still taking a break from the game's main story and just trying to 100% some districts, but eventually ended up on the loyalty mission, which is like the main story ones, but not called main story. In fact, doing all these will give you a trophy later on. But first I did one with the other girl in the party named Nina, and we got to watch as her beloved car was completely destroyed by a tall, dark, handsome man across the canyon. And if this dumb game let me play, I would have totally hit those shots, but the character's personality must have gotten in the way. That's the only excuse. Oh, and goody, we have finally landed on the first completely bugged mission of the day, Idle Threat. Another loyalty mission. Now these aren't needed to beat the game's story, but they are if you're trying to get the 100% completion, like myself. So when I got to this part where the character T-poses like a retard, and then I can't fight any of the enemies in the entire bar fight section, I got super worried it was gonna break right there and we'd be done. Now thankfully this was a common bug, so after looking it up, I found some Reddit users who said you need to exit the game and completely restart your PlayStation for it to fix itself.
I love you, bitch.
And surprisingly enough, it actually did fix itself, which was awesome because this mission is probably one of the best in the entire game. Sure, you get to have a bar fight, but you also get to drag around one of the idol members in a porta potty filled with steaming hot diarrhea and destroy their camp in the process. And if that wasn't enough, you also get to save this big sign in the game from being blown up with Kev on it, who is one of your friends in the game. And you even get to play CSGO and disarm a ton of bombs while it's killing people in the process. So all in all, great game and trophy. I then did another loyalty mission line, but for the nerdy dude this time, and Jesus Christ, he had one of the longest mission lines I have ever played in a game. But it was also so unique and stupid that it was a blast. I think it took me like 3 hours to do it, but it was like this giant roleplay thing. You don't actually get get a trophy for beating it though, which was retarded as hell, and I felt a tad bit scammed if I'm being honest. But I did get one like right after when I leveled up my criminal enterprise to level 2. I still don't know what causes those to level up if I'm being honest, but it doesn't matter. I did this story for like 4 more hours and nothing happened trophy wise, but I did harass an NPC and its code got mad at me and pulled me out of my sparkly sports car, which is worth more than his bloodline, and I got a trophy. I also fully upgraded my car, finally, which I could have done like hours ago, but I didn't know how to since the game is so damn confusing it got me lost like I'm a 4-year-old in a Walmart. I then used that new upgrade to Nitro Boost practically endlessly, or so much that I got a trophy for it. Nearing the end of the story, you have teamed up with the guy we captured in the very beginning of the game. He is sort of crazy, but apparently our dumbass trusts him and decides it's smart to hand over a knife to him. I don't get the rational thought behind it, but I guess there wasn't any anyways. This mission you get to fight through a giant train all the way till you confront the big daddy who crashed Nina's car earlier in her loyalty mission. Before you can even blink, Nawali's ass killed the dude, and I was kind of thinking it was a joke, but I guess it was serious and he's dead. We then stop, or rather explode the train, collect the money, and get to watch a super cringe money fight, which sums up the developers shutting down party pretty good. I then did Nina's last loyalty mission, which had us rob some pretty ass art, but it gave me a trophy so I wouldn't start a fight with art enthusiasts around the world. And I got another trophy after burning evidence and killing cops. So basically, I became the most normal presidential campaign enthusiast. The Saints have been on a hot streak recently, and the 4 founders gave us a super cringe speech, which I laughed my little white ass over because it was just so bad. Moments after that, some man from the Marshall Company shows up and says they own us because of me working there previously. I was so confused, I shot the man because my small brain just couldn't handle it. And then the next main story mission has the entire Saints, gang, army, whatever you want to call it, go all the way to the Marshall headquarters to try and kill the main guy. And right before the end of the mission, my game broke yet again, and I had the keycard glitch out and couldn't search or do anything. Thankfully, I reloaded the checkpoint and it worked. Also, before this, I had a freezing glitch that I couldn't even record, but it was so bad my game would freeze every 5 seconds. So this game is honestly just a piece of shit. After that, I got a trophy called Food for Thought. I don't know what food they are talking about, but I've been enjoying steak a lot recently, and I would recommend it.
90% of the time, I have no idea what the I'm talking about.
And another trophy after that from putting my gun deep inside of this man who was glowing green. Now I'm pretty sure that's called radioactive gonorrhea, but I'm not positive. We then break into the big boy office, and sadly the Marshall man isn't there. Instead, it's this lady who strikes a deal with us not to just kill everyone, but try and get him voted out of the company. We finally got all political. I see how it is. We do this by sabotaging a showcase for the new AI tank. And if this doesn't scream 2023, I don't know what else does. Anyways, it succeeds and there's a board vote to kick him out. It ended up being a tie, and for whatever reason, I had a vote also. And I decided not to kill him because I thought that would be a little insensitive. Actually, I just wanted him to suffer more being unemployed in this new day and age. So we got the Saints back from the bad businessmen and decided it's the perfect chance to throw a party. If you remember correctly, this is where we all die from the beginning. And just like it happened earlier, it happens again. And it actually ended up being the weird dude we let join late who did it to us. I was not surprised at all, but the trophy thought I was, and felt so impactful they made it Spanish. We then get to go on a trip into the mind, and I swear every single game I play nowadays has one of these stupid ass dream scenes where you just wander around, and it's so bad. I actually hate these like a lot.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
So I'm just gonna speed up to where we end up in a fighter jet blowing up the entire west coast, because this is the ball-shaking action this game needs and should have had the whole time. We are after Nawali, who just ruined everything and took the Saints from us. After entering the building the boys are hidden in, we get to chase the guy once more. If only my ass would have stretched before, then I probably could have captured him a lot easier. You chase him all the way up to the roof, and they hyped up this duel scene so much that when this happened and my guy froze up in a T-pose, I actually lost my shit because of how hilariously bad this game is. But then again, I wouldn't have had this ending any other way, seeing as this is the legendary Saints Row 2022 version after all. So yeah, that was the whole main story, and we get the trophy for its completion. It's officially time to do the cleanup stage of this game's platinum trophy, which isn't horrible for this game, but it's still substantially long because the developers mistook length of game to fun of game. And the ventures in it, which are the businesses you have to set up 15 times for a trophy, are so awfully boring. Most of them take 10 setups to do and consist of the exact same objective, just in completely different areas. So basically, it's gonna put you on a suicide watch list. Anyways, I did a bunch of random trophies and then ran upon what pushed me over the edge in this broken-ass game's trophy list. You need to 100% each district, as we all already know, and one of the discoveries, as they call it, which are the yellow icons on the map, has you take a picture of a notable landmark. So I did that while I was in the middle of being chased by police and from quite a distance away. I just thought, hey, why not? It's right there and I can do it, so why wouldn't I do it? The game even told me it was a good picture, but quite literally just didn't track the photo at all, and I restarted both my game and console and retook the photo the right way as they want you to, but it still didn't track the photo. So now that district is just fucked over, and I can't be bothered to replay the whole game again, just to have another glitch like that happen, most likely. So that was my experience with this game's Platinum Trophy. I low-key hate this game. It's just so bad. Like, the only thing more disappointing than this game is the fact that you didn't even subscribe yet.